Happy Poetry Thursday, BookTube, although it is Friday and the office is closing in half an hour. So, this is going to be a quick one about Berryman's dream songs that we've been reading in the group. And three of them in particular, I wanted, had I more time, to research more deeply the titled songs. Most are just by number. But I thought I'd stick to these three since I don't have long, called The Three Around the Old Gentleman. These are dream songs 37, 38, and 39. I don't have too much to say, except I think I can detect kind of a difference between the three. They're all about Frost, that Berryman knew well and were deep friends, I think, or at least John have had loving feelings towards Frost. There was, it seems to me, some kind of contretemps between them. Um, Here's where I don't like to do what do you call those buildings, roman readings of poetry and novels. Where you try to read through them to pick out which real character from Venice or Florence Dante was trying to insult in the eighth level of hell or whatever. But we know who this is about, and here's what it says. His malice was a pimple down his good big face with its sly eyes. So most of this is going to be loving, but you see there is maybe some little malice in Frost, although perhaps it is passing like a pimple. I must be sorry Mr. Frost has left. So here we have that imperative that I was talking about in my first um, video about these poems with the I must again. I must be sorry. Frost has left. So I read this one, 37, as very much the personal sort of in the moment friendship. I think they were sharing an office, and I don't know if it was bread loaf, somewhere they taught together. I like it so, less I don't understood. He couldn't hear or see well, all we sift, but this is a bad story. Bad is emphasized. What is this bad story that needs to be sifted out? We had fine stories, he had fine stories, and was another man in private. Difficult always, courteous on the whole, in private. He apologized to Henry off and on. We shouldn't always equate Henry and Berryman, but I'm guessing that they had something and that Frost apologized about it. For two blue slanders, which was good of him. I don't know how we made it. I didn't have the time to do the research to try to track down if anyone knows what these blue slanders were, if they were in the poetry, or if they were just, around the water cooler at the office. Quickly off stage with all but kindness now, I can't say what I have in mind. Bless Frost and odd God, any odd God around. Gentle his shift, I decusate and command. Stoic deity for a while here we possessed, an unusual man. So Frost, very much a deity, a stoic one, but a deity nonetheless. Possessed, held by, as opposed to worshipped. This leads, I think, interestingly into, for me, it's kind of interesting to contrast them, 38, which I would argue this one is the public's Frost, right? What Joe Schmo and you and I and posterity, well, posterity will come in a minute, what we know about him. This one I sort of have less to say about. Um, the Russian grin below his condolence to the family. Ah, but it's Kay and Ted and Chris and Ann. I don't know who those folks are. I'm sure a lot of people can answer in the comments because the people in my group are uber informed. Really great. Best discussion group I've been in on BookTube by far. Henry thinks of who eased his fearful way from here, in here to there. This once thought I won't make out. So here it's about Henry. So why do I say it's kind of about the public? Well, I think it's you'll see what I mean. Maybe the source of noble such may come clearer to dazzled Henry. It may come, I'd say, it will have with pain and mystery. I'd rather leave it alone. I do leave it alone, and down with the listener. So honoring, to me, that's always sort of a public thing. I can't ever recall myself sort of one-on-one honoring somebody. I guess some cultures they do, right, where the children like kiss the feet of the elders or something like that. But so for me, that read very public. And now he has become abrupt an industry. Professional friends of Robert Frost all over. That's almost all hyphenated. Gap wide their mouths. while the quirky medium of so many truths is quiet. Let's be quiet. Let us listen. What for, Mr. Bones? While he begins to have it out with Horace. Again, another reference I really wanted to trace, but I was going to leave this till the weekend, and I realized I'm having something happening on the weekend that I wouldn't get to this until next week, and I'm not sure if we're only doing this month, so I didn't want to miss a week video. So we'll have to put a pin in Horace for now. But let's jump to the last one. So we had the friendship in the moment, some sort of malentendu, but they remain close. This public Frost that everyone's, professional friends of, owning him in that sort of way, to 39, which for me is really the posterity, where maybe Berryman starts to take back his ownership of Frost again from the mass of mourners. And this is an address, so that's why I feel this one's very personal again. It begins with goodbye, sir, and farewell, and it ends with nothing's the same, sir, taking cover. So it's very much an address to a Frost who's passed away. Well, I didn't check the dates. I hope if he hadn't passed away by the time this was written, then obviously my reading of all this is totally wrong, which would be great in a way. So maybe I'll look it up, or you can let me know. Goodbye, sir, and farewell. You're in the clear. Nobody, Mark said, you said, is ever found out. Again, had I time, I would trace that line to somewhere in Frost's poetry. I figure you were right. I said in the group once that if Song of Myself is like the hero's journey, I find that dream songs are the shadow. I figure you're right. Having as Henry got away with murder for long. Murder. Some jarred clock tells us it's late, not for you who went straight, but for the Lorn. Our roof is, and by the way, that for the Lorn, which completes the sound, it begins the second sextet. So I think I mentioned the other one. There's really, besides the interesting weird verb tenses, you probably noticed the sort of caesura, where he breaks things, and syntactically and poetically is also very interesting. Our roof is left it off, lately the shooter and the bourbon man, and then you got tired. Does anyone know if Frost was a bourbon man? I don't know Berryman's drink of choice, but I bet you somebody does. And then you got tired. I'm afraid that's it. I figure with you with love, lifey, deathy, but I have a little sense. The rest of us are fired. Everything was making sense to me until that fired, and I don't know what to make of it. I leave that as the open question to my group. What is meant by fired here? Or fired? Now we're in the last sextet. Colon, the second colon in this theme song. Or fired, colon, be with us, and we'll blow our best. Our sad, wild riffs come easy in that case. Thinking you over, knowing you resting. Who was reborn to rest? Your gorgeous sentence done. Nothing's the same, sir. Taking cover. This whole song makes sense to me. It's so beautiful as a elegy to a lost Frost. But what is that fired? Somebody tell me. Maybe we'll solve it by next week. I'll have another video for possibly the last for you on Berryman's dream songs, or at least the first 77.